Crystal do some yard work. So we have kind of a backyard. I guess I could do a video sometime for you if you want to see. It's decent size, but it had really become overgrown because it's been raining all the time recently. So it just really grew a lot. And so I had this like scythe like thing that I was slashing down all the stuff that had become overgrown. So I was helping her with that. And then soon after that she said she wanted to go to thrift stores. And so then I went with her to some thrift stores. I found some candles for like 45 cents a piece, and I found some other ones that were like 75%, 50% off. And I can always use more candles. She was mostly shopping for summer clothes. I barely took anything today. I went to sleep last night. When I said I was depressed, by the way, I didn't mean the game. I was more so just feeling really depressed and frustrated with my life, I guess, on some level. My mood wasn't that great. And I was just kind of like, screw it, I'm going to bed. So, but thanks for being encouraging. And, so, I had like maybe 20 milligrams of caffeine through True Line at about 1 o'clock. And then I had maybe 10 milligrams of cannabis. I think at like that time as well, or something like that. So I'm having maybe 30 milligrams of cannabis. So I'm really trying to let my tolerance go down. I'm sweating right now, it's still pretty fucking hot. Because it got up to 90 today. So it's just been kind of an exhausting day because it went from being like, I think about 50 or whatever, 60 for the high, and suddenly just jumped up to 90. And I guess I'm dealing with it better than Crystal, but what Pokeball wasters is Ireland? And to give you open. I did not have gabapentin on Wednesday. Usually, most Wednesdays I'll take the gabapentin, and then most like Saturday or Sunday, one of those days I'll take it. And my stomach's been really bothering me the past, week or whatever. So I'll just get nausea. Like literally last weekend I did puke a little bit. So, I just feel like I need to stop taking gabapentin as often. And since it stopped raining, my nerve pain isn't as bad, so. We just got to the top of the tower in Pokemon. Exhausting. I met with this Nathan Armstrong guy who's an entrepreneur, he claims anyway, I don't know, kind of iffy on it. It seemed pretty scripted what he was telling me. And he would raise his eyebrows in this way and started gesturing with his hands and stuff, and it's just really weird, I guess. And he wants to, 5 weeks of schooling about economics and entrepreneurship and stuff like that. I don't know. Crystal's trying to investigate him. I'm just so mistrustful of most people, but he did want to meet in person. And I like what he's saying, but it just seems kind of convenient that he's leaving things very vague, and I feel like I'm just hearing what I want to hear. Like I want to build trust, and so if someone's been really paying attention enough, they know that in order to be able to get in my orbit, you have to build trust with me. So then they would be doing that. But again, maybe I'm reading way too much into it. It's a very difficult thing. I really am feeling more like introverted lately, as you can probably tell. And I just really don't. I'm at the point where I just don't even care really if I find new people or anything. I'm really tired of trying to find, someone that can be a sex partner for me. Because, Crystal has still been dealing with her period and stuff, and she's been really out of it, and I literally haven't had sex in like a month or something, which is really ridiculous for someone like me. I literally just feel like apparently I'm asexual now, because, just, I've just been so incredibly frustrated in my life, sexually speaking. Really just kind of obscene at this point. How much I have to just deal with not having a basic need that is very pervasive met half the time. And I'm really tired of trying to seek it out. So, again, I feel much like a character from Silent Hill or something. Like you're looking for something, you never get it, you never find it. And so people can kind of use that against you. I feel like, and so I just am really sick of people. Ever since the one person joked about the rabbits and stuff, after I talked about the Nazis and their rabbits, I'm really fed up with trying to meet new people. I'm really sick of how shitty people are. But, yeah, someone was playing really loud music this morning. I think it was across the street. And a neighbor went over there. I think it was like later in the day, actually, like almost the afternoon. Someone was playing loud music again, and someone went over there and told them to shut the fuck up. And it's just really ridiculous because, this area has a lot of children. It's a very much like this children area, and there's a bus stop that comes and takes the children to school and stuff like that. So, yeah, people have just been pretty stupid today with how loud they've been at times. And I wouldn't say it's any of my neighbors that are directly around me. It's just been, like people in the distance and shit. At least 2 or 3 times throughout the day, they were pretty loud and, like, consistently so. I'm not just talking about someone drove by. They were playing their music for like 2 minutes and then they drove past. I'm talking about they played their music, it was like 10 minutes, and I'm just like, can you shut the fuck up? Other people fucking live here and stuff. And, it just seems like this is part of the course, like, it's gonna happen at least once a week or something. Someone's gonna play loud music and be a fucking dumbass. And I'm just really sick of it. It gets really, really old. So I guess I'm just feeling incredibly introverted. And I just want people to kind of leave me alone, but that doesn't entail top person. I'm just kind of despondent and depressed a lot of the time lately. More so as far as me coming to talk with you. It's just really underwhelming that this is all my life is. I figured that by 40 years of age I would really be, more further along somewhere in my life. And I can't help but feel that I'm not content with my life unless it really does actually amount to something, I guess. As much as I try to say, well, just enjoy, what you have with your life. But I'm just, it's not enjoyable for me to deliver people food while I'm attempting to work. And, all that nonsense. I would just like to be able to, focus on the things that matter the most to me. And I was thinking about And I've been reading this book called Phenomena that's kind of about squishy science or intuition or serendipity or whatever, or how dreams can give you a breakthrough. And I was thinking about my dragonflies and peptides. What the hell is a ladybug? It's probably gonna die for this cookie. You know, this dream was, it was this very beautiful spring day at a park. Green, and there were picnic benches, there's dragonflies everywhere. And on the picnic bench, etched with I think a knife really, was a peptide. And I had been thinking around that time about peptides and how I felt that maybe the dragonfly or maybe some of the peptides in some of these organisms on Earth would be the key to us discovering how to solve nerve-related disorders like Parkinson's, mood-related disorders like MS. And I feel like it's something I'm meant to do on some level, is do some kind of research with this, but I just don't know how to get from point A to point B when I'm disabled, and it's just a struggle for me to go to work today, let alone consider going to school or something and learning and studying about this so I can actually do something. And so I'm just really frustrated that my life is just kind of at this impasse where, things don't really get better and they might get a lot worse, is how it can really feel a lot of the time. I might get disability, but it'll take a fucking year. And who knows what's going to happen in that period of time. So I was just thinking basically about how much we limit some of the most brilliant people, individuals we have in our culture, because we more so care about making profits and we value the group, the corporation, the business, more than we do actual advancements that individuals can push forward. Yet we sit here and talk about how it's a nation of liberty, which is by its nature about individuality, not group dynamics, if that's true, and so it's not true. We don't live by liberty as Americans by and large. And how frustrating that is. I look at myself as, I don't want to be overly egoic about it. I have humility, but I realize I'm a pretty brilliant person, and there's not many people like me in the world that have so much compassion, that have so much intellect also. Usually you have compassion and you're stupid on some level, or you're not as sharp, or you're very intelligent, but you lack a moral compass, you lack compassion, you lack empathy. And it's rare to have someone that really has both of these in spades. And I look at myself as kind of a Renaissance man, in a word, or arete is the Greek word meaning excellence in as many things as possible, and that's how I look at myself as, I want to be as good at anything I try to do as much as I possibly can. And I'm not just talented as an artist, I'm not just talented as someone that has political awareness, I'm not just talented as someone that is very physically adept and has some degree of physical strength or understanding. I'm not just this, I'm not just that, I'm many things that I have talent with. I have talents with bringing people together across all kinds of walks of life, intergenerational rapport. I have so much going for me, but here I am struggling as I have pretty much my entire goddamn life, and not being able to really fully do what I do best, which is my genius, my brilliance, my art, my science, whatever that, whatever really strikes my fancy. I have to find time on the side to be able to do what's really my passion. I have to find time on the side to do what is really my passion, because it's a culture that doesn't support individuals unless you get something out of it as the culture. You know, unless you get fucked over and I make money off of you, I'm not helping you. You know, and that's, to me, it's stupid. You know, I never could live by walking over other people to get ahead. I had to get ahead on my own terms. And so that's why I'm in this predicament, because it's a culture that doesn't actually respect or honor someone that wants to use fair means to really show and discipline their skills and their talents. They just want someone that can make a bunch of money for them. And it doesn't give a shit about whatever your concerns might be, by and large. Again, I don't want to be overgeneralizing, but overall, that's, you know, the experience. So I'm just really sick of being limited. You know, my entire life experiences of being limited as someone that was just on a different level than his peers a lot of the time. Not to say that there weren't peers that were on a similar level or even a greater level in some subjects. You know, but again, I'll give you the main image that I remember with this game is that, you know, I'm in, I think it was like 2nd or 3rd grade, and everyone's reading golden picture books, you know, just these really thin, small books that have a bunch of pictures in them. I'm reading Jurassic Park. That's a 1,000-something page novel. And no, I don't understand everything I'm reading in it, but I guarantee you I understood more than most of the people in my class would as they were reading the book. But here I was, surrounded by people that clearly were not at the same reading level as I was. And clearly my gift of lingual ability wasn't being honored, respected, grown, improved. I was being held back by my culture and not respected for what I actually had to offer. And so that has been, the same thing has been recapitulated to me again and again and again and again and again, and I can go on and I can go on to the extent where I just feel that my entire life is just this rebellion to try to find time to be able to do what I'm really talented and good at. And masturbating around, doing the charade of a life that they force me to do, you know, delivering them food, when what I'm more concerned with is solving the problem of a nerve disorder or doing something that is way more important and impactful to humanity. Instead, I have to waste my time making money for capitalism. Jon Stewart, the Daily Show. Jon Stewart, he started it recently on Gen Josh. I don't know if you remember it, but he took a long hiatus. He had this guy that worked for the like polling division of the federal government. I forget the specific, technical title, but so he had some information about Gen Z, and that's what I'm going to deliver to you in these messages. So that's where I get the information is from this guy, just so you can know that it is a valid source of information. So Gen Z actually, I think of any generation, I'm pretty sure that they have come out, shown up in the greatest numbers of any generation. So the second most voting generation would be the greatest generation, perhaps what are called the GI generation. And these were the people that came of age during World War II. So about 15% of them would show up and vote. Just to compare. And Gen Z, 40% of them voted in the last election. Almost half of them. 60% of college students that are in college right now voted in the last election. 60%. And yet they're condemning so many college kids and putting forth this, anti-Semitism is terrible, but so is anti-Palestinianism. And they're all focused on anti-Palestinianism, and I haven't yet heard them really clamping down on anti-Semitism and anti-Hamasism. You know what I mean? And anti-Palestinianism. Pro-Hamasism is what I'm trying to say. I'll correct myself. I haven't really seen them go after people that are pro-Hamas. That's not what they're saying in the news. They're saying they're going after people that are pro-Palestinian. And there is a goddamn difference. Sorry if I go off about that, but it's so stupid that you cannot tell the difference as a country. Yeah, 60%. And so it really just makes me wonder why they're really condemning. These are some of the most politically minded young people that we've ever seen in this country that want to change things through politics and want to be involved politically. So, the other thing he kind of emphasizes is what is one of the main differences between the millennials and Gen Z, because they share very similar values. And his argument is, and I've thought about it enough that it does have some credence, it gets you thinking in an interesting way at the least, I don't know, take it as you will. But the idea is essentially that the millennial generation had this unity of America moment out of 9/11. And I would argue that as a millennial, I felt disunification in that moment. I felt that the country was really out of its mind and out for vengeance, and I didn't feel unity. I felt disgust at the degree of violence this country went to out of reprehensible acts that have been done to itself. And Gen Z has had no such unifying moment. And from the moment they were born, they've dealt with algorithms, they've been surrounded by technology, they've had that alienation of the internet through algorithms. Whereas we as millennials, I think most of us, many of us, I don't know, we have the best of both worlds. We experienced not having an internet, and then we experienced having an internet. Whereas these, and we much later experienced, at least in my case, having a smartphone. And not having a smartphone for all this amount of time, but they were born into the smartphone existed, the algorithms existed, the internet existed. Soon after the pandemic happened, they may see World War in their lifetime. They may be similar to the greatest generation, and they may see war in their life. So they really have a lot that they're dealing with, and it's really important that we try to understand what they're dealing with. And again, Biden has really shown that he's out of touch with what Gen Z is really about. And I won't go into the political clarity statement because Josh probably already knows, but it's infuriating. So I believe that the millennials are here to kind of tear apart the myth of America. They're here to at least try to make this country have accountability when it's, for the longest time, done whatever it decided to do without even saying please or thank you. So I think we kind of, it can kind of look destructive, what the millennial mindset. It can almost seem un-American to these people that are about this nationalism of the group over the nationalism of liberty of the individual. But it's this necessary kind of revealing of what's behind the curtain or something like that. To try to put it in a little bit better terms that isn't so tearing away. And so, this is America, and I've told you about it. Yes, we freed Jews from Nazi oppression, but we freed Nazis from Jewish oppression, it seems like to me also. And so as a millennial, I just up front have to tell you, this is America. And it needs to change. It's been this way for too long. It's reprehensible that it did the things it's done. It's further reprehensible because it refuses to have accountability for what it's done. It would much rather plausibly deny what it's done than actually have accountability for it. And I believe that Gen Z is, to me, they're kind of the hope of the country. The other thing they deal with is climate change. From almost the moment they're born, they really are feeling the effects of climate change in a way that we as millennials did not at that early point in our life. So can you imagine the amount of trauma this generation, Gen Z as they are enduring on some level? And, I guess someone could say as a boomer, this, that, and this was going on. But there were, again, the unity moments of America. Let's go back to this point one more time. The boomers had a unity moment of America. The greatest generation had a unity moment of America. Pearl Harbor, for example. But the millennials did, but the Gen Z hasn't. And to me, what's going on in Gaza right now should be a unifying moment for America. A majority of Americans should not support ethnic cleansing or domestic genocide such as this really is on some level, even though it may have the guise and may have some true thrust being about going after Hamas. Certainly true. I wish they could get back their hostages, but I wish there weren't 30,000 plus dead innocents. And you would figure this would be something that would unify all of America. They could all get behind, most people anyway, majority, let me rephrase, majority could get behind this and say, look, this is, we can't give these people weapons that they're going to misuse, like children at war. We cannot do that. What kind of statement are you saying to the entire world? We'll just let domestic genocide happen. So who knows, maybe another domestic genocide is going to happen. And America's going to be just as complicit in it. It should be a moment of unification, a moment of political clarity. But they're not going to get it. Instead, many of them are in jail, and some of them are truly anti-Semitic, some of them are truly pro-Hamas. I'm not trying to mince my words here, but enough of them are pro-Palestinian. Enough of them are anti-Hamas. Enough of them are pro-Jewish without being anti-Palestine. Enough of them are pro-Palestine without being anti-Semitic. And we're not talking about that enough. as the country right now. We should be unifying around our young people that are really showing us how much it hurts to see this country degrading itself further. So, I kind of look at myself as the millennial elder at this point, and that Gen Z needs these millennial kind of elders to really help direct them, because the boomers don't get it when it comes to Gen Z especially. They just don't get it. Most of them. Again, I'm not trying to write off all boomers. I'm just saying overall as a generation, they're out of touch. So it's a feeling that since the boomers don't get it, Not that I'm blaming them per se, not that I'm trying to judge them by saying that, but since they don't get it, someone as a generation really has to be there to help foster Gen Z. And it certainly is not going to be the boomers. But yeah, I think that it's kind of naive to, just commenting about Gen Z and kind of some of the things I would tell them. I think it's kind of naive to try to divest funds from the university from Israel in particular when there are plenty of other connections that are a problem. And really, again, the main problem being that there's a military, industrial, academic complex, and that there are many government contracts that are issued through universities, and the military has its foot over the university system on some level. And so that's really one of the main problems. And so they should be calling for what Eisenhower called for. And he called for an alert and aware citizenry that wouldn't let the military have this overreach into the academic or university structure. The GI Bill of Rights is, and on one hand, it points out the fact of what I'm saying is that the military has its foot over the university structure. On another hand, the GI generation deserves that out of what they, did, or people that have served in wars deserve something that the country gives them as an opportunity for what they've done, as long as they have good conduct. But so does someone who served on the front lines during the pandemic, who was technically a civilian who was working as a medical professional. See, that's clearly the military has its foot over the university system. Other people have risked themselves in similar ways but have not gotten the same opportunities. I feel that Gen Z needs to become more aware of government and its ability to break up groups that have become a problem from the government's vantage point. The anti-war movement, broken up by an anti-drug movement, which was really just an anti-people movement, which the campaign manager for that president later said as much about this war against drugs. Obviously the main thing I would mention is my generation, the millennials, their main protest was the Wall Street protest. And that was internalized by the government, it was undermined by moles and other stupid people. And so it fell apart, it didn't actually accomplish what it aimed to do, and to me that was, something more along the lines of what really needed to happen. Like, sure, divesting funds from Israel and universities is one thing, but the one aspect of the military-industrial complex, academic, we'll say as well, complex, is the industrial aspectation of it has this fun little risk game it plays called the stock market. It has this thing called Wall Street that is just another function of this military-industrial academic complex. And so it is much like blood money circling in a Shark Tank week after week. There's only as much money in Wall Street because there's this much blood on the hands of the Pentagon. So what my generation tried to do was they tried to take out one of the direct arms of this military-industrial academic complex. At least that's the way I view it. They were trying to take out Wall Street altogether as a way to finally break up this military-industrial academic complex. So yeah, sure, divesting funds from Israel, I can agree, but there's also bigger fish to be fried. And maybe small concessions is the way to go, so maybe you have a point as a generation, but on the other hand, how much is that really solving, and are you going to be content with your university system if they gave in that demand? And would you be able to see the full picture here? And that's why I think some of them need someone like me to tell them, like, look, the whole picture here is that the military has its foot in the university system. So it's not just Israel, it's any country that is taking weapons contracts that is committing some atrocity, and Israel is not the only one. So I guess I would say if you're smart about this, you'll go for the divest funds Israel thing, but you won't stop there. You won't be content as a university student to know that how many government contracts are given, how much academic contracts are military based, and how much the real advancements in this country are coming through the military, through science connections, and how much the science is fostered through the academic. Do you see the feedback loop? Yes, clearly. So millennials kind of tear down America and force it to have some kind of accountability as much as possible. And the Zoomers will have an open kind of terrain in order to be able to build something better upon, to make something better of America, if they're allowed to really blossom and become what I see them as being. So, as an artist, I won't say too much about it because respect for Josh, but Marilyn Manson, really inspired me as a millennial. He spoke to my generation. I felt like at a very pivotal moment when the school shooting thing in Columbine really kicked off. I had the song Indisposable Teens. Oh, no, Disposable Teens, right, as it's called, right? So, that really emphasized to me how the artist can be very powerful if he can really speak to a younger generation in a pivotal moment. And so I think that's my task at hand here on some level. Yeah, I mean, the boomers just, in some ways, won't like them as much because within 20, 30 years, this country, its majority religion will not be Christianity anymore. That's what the data is really showing when I looked at research into this. So the Zoomer generation represents a generation that's not going to believe in Christianity as much. And other generations that come after them probably will even less, given the data. This is not to say that there won't be any Zoomers or anyone that is a Christian more further in these generations. It's just that it's on the downtrend. So, the boomers are, quite a few of them are Christians. And so the Zoomers are going to be looked at by the boomers as, these kids these days, without any morals or, don't even believe in God, etc., etc. But of course, then you could have the millennial in the corner pointing out the irony here that, well, look at Project Paperclip. Well, look at how fundamentalism and creationism has internalized itself into government when there's supposed to be a separation of church and state, of government and religion, and that whatever your religious affiliation, you should have to respect that, because that is the foundation of this country. That's what the forefathers envisioned for this country to be. So the fact that they aren't believing in Christianity as much anymore is because of fundamentalism and creationism trying to vie for politics, trying to control everything so that they become disillusioned to Christianity. So yeah, I mean, basically, by being overly dogmatic, Christianity has shot itself in its own foot. in my estimation. Obviously, it's just my opinion. I'm not trying to tell you what to believe, but I can't help but be pretty annoyed or upset, you know. Because, you know, in America, I literally can't go anywhere without seeing a cross somewhere. You know, in some cases, I can't step out in my living room and look out my own front door without seeing a cross and, you know, flashing in my frickin' face. Like, that's how much America just throws Christianity and throws it down your throat. And that's exactly why people become disillusioned to it. You know, I don't need to be reminded of what someone else believes incessantly in this invasive way. You know, it's not necessary for me. In fact, I don't think it's the opposite. I don't need that. You know, am I supposed to start flashing whatever symbol at whoever? And you know, that's not what I do. I don't shove it down your throat. So why is it shoved down mine? So that's why I'm so disillusioned with it at that point. And that's why subsequent generations are going. There's a downtrend. You know, on some level in the country, there's radical Christians, and you know, they would support radical Israelis, you know, and they would have no issue with the slaughtering of Palestinians, innocent people, because of their radical dogmatic view. And that is precisely part of the problem when you have a president that puts together the Bible, the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and he puts it all in one document. You know, this is precisely the problem, America. Separation of church and state. So that lack of separation of church and state means that there will be more separation of individual from religion. Because America is all about liberty at the end of the day, and some people actually do recognize that. Anyway, I'm going to try to move on from that topic. So, you know, the Zoomer generation, I think they're really misunderstood by the Boomers a lot of the time. And I think that, you know, they are really the future of the country, as I've stated. So it's really important we understand them. It's really important we speak to them on their terms. And by that understanding, basically that understanding means that we can actually speak to them on some level, and we could have a president that could be unifying the youth with the boomer generation in this country right now if he actually had his ass on straight with his head and his pocketbook wasn't shoved straight up his mouth. So, you know, let's, you know, try to be there for the Zoomers in the way that the Boomers definitely, most of the time, are not. You clearly, when you, again, looking at what's going on in the university system right now, how many people are arrested, and probably are not pro-Hamas. How many of them are not, I'd like to see a poll. Like, let's actually do data here. This many American youth that are in prison from the university incidents are anti-Hamas, pro-Palestinian and pro-Israeli, just anti-Netanyahu and anti-Hamas. So that's the problem here, is that there is some percentage of them that are in jail like that right now, and so the millennials need to be there for them and be like, okay, I respect your courage and what you're willing to do here. Those that truly are, as I've said, and those that are not, obviously, I don't want really much to do with you, and you should learn a lesson. So that should be the delineation, that should be the line that was drawn, that should be really what we say. And it just sucks to be almost a 40-year-old millennial and feel like I would have a better speech to give as president if I were president, right? Not that I'm trying to be aggrandize and say, well, I'm president now or anything, but I'm just saying that someone who's only 40 years old can say something that really touches to the heart of the matter way more and would help unify the country, I feel like, way more. It would, if I were the children or the teenagers or the adults that just recently became adults that were protesting this, and someone had actually listened to me, I can guarantee you there would be a shift in my tone. I would begin to tone it down a little bit more because I would feel like I was recognized. The reason why I'm protesting is because you're not recognizing my point and you're not doing anything about it. So unfortunately, I'll just say, Marilyn Manson, he was asked about, the Columbine massacre, and he was asked, what would you do with these kids that was different than what they did? And he said, I would have listened to what they had to say. I would have tried to understand that and work through a way of understanding. And I think that's what we need to be doing with these children just as well, or these teenagers, or these recent adults. Rather than trying to force them into a mold, try to see who they are and what they are really after and what they're becoming, rather than trying to force them to be something else.